Hello friends, my name is Radha Masood. Today we shall discuss about a topic that how to identify risk in a project. Friend, today's topic is very interesting, especially if you are a student of project management PMP and you are planning to give exam of PMP in near future, or you are already working in any organization as a project manager. So this is a very important topic for you. So let's start, friend. First of all, I would request to please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell option as well so that my new videos can reach to you. So let's start. How to identify risk actually in a project? First of all, we have to understand that what is risk actually. Risk is the uncertain condition of a project about which you are not sure whether it will happen or not happen, or it can positively or negatively impact your project. Okay, so that is called as the main definition of a risk. For example, you are initiating a new project and your team is not well aware about the technology in which you are going to implement the project. So this is a risk that your team is not properly aware about the technology. So this is a risk. It can negatively impact your project. Now, how to improve the risk identification? How you can do risk identification at an early stage? First of all, risk identification should be done in the early stage of a project. Then in an iterative manner, like every weekly basis or after every 14 days, you should have to review the risk register on a consistent frequency, such as on a weekly basis. When change control is performed, like if whenever there is a change, so you should have to identify the risk that after the change, whether any new risk occur or not. When major milestones are reached, so you have to identify the risk at that moment as well. Now, risk identification in agile projects. For agile projects, normally we do the risk identification at the time of sprint planning, release planning, daily stand-up meetings, and prior to each sprint. A sprint is a 3 to 4 weeks time period in which we have to deliver the deliverables to the customer. So, in the sprint, in the agile sprint planning, release planning, daily stand-up meetings, and prior to each sprint, these are the stages at which we can do the risk identification. Now, techniques for risk identification. The very common techniques for risk identification. First of all, interviews. Interviews means that select the key stakeholders like the technical leads, functional managers, and discuss with them, plan an interview with them, discuss specific questions, document the results of the interview. That means, for example, you are implementing an e-commerce solution. So have a meeting with your functional manager and discuss whatever the risk they have faced in past projects. What are their opinion about the risk in in these types of projects? So interview with them, or you can have a discussion with customer as well. So schedule interview with key stakeholders and discuss the main questions with them so that you can identify what are the issues, what are the risks they are foreseeing, and how you can manage it as well. Remember, the documentation of these interviews is also very important. Then brainstorming. Brainstorming means, friend, that like for example 5 to 10 people can sit in a room, can have a meeting, and they discuss whatever the ideas are there, and they discuss their ideas openly with each other and try to find out the best possible solution. Normally this is the approach of brainstorming. Whenever we talk about brainstorming for risk identification, that means like the functional manager, technical lead, the project manager, or you can say the customer can also sit in the meeting. They can discuss the problems, issues, risks which they can see in the project, and they discuss the ideas openly with each other and try to find out the solution. So brainstorming with respect to project objective means what are the most significant risks related to the project objectives. Project tasks means what are the most significant risks related to tasks such as requirements, coding, testing, training, implementation. So these types of risks can openly discuss with each other having a meeting along in the meeting session. Okay, so then we can make a checklist. Checklist means if you are if your company has a list of the most common risks, if not, you may want to create such as list. So that means, friend, normally every company, like for example, if you are a implementation company, normally they have some checklist available. Checklist means that in the past project we have done so many projects. So based on that, companies make a checklist. So that means that these are the possible risks which may occur in a project. So you can find out, you can try to use that list to maintain and check where, for example, if there are five risks occur as per the past projects of e-commerce solution during the implementation of e-commerce solution. So you can find out that checklist and compare your results, your checklist with them, that whether any risk which have been mentioned in the checklist is not mentioned in your checklist. So you can use the checklist as well. Then the assumption analysis. This is a very important topic, friend. As per the PMI or PMBOK, project management body of knowledge, assumption mean any thing which may occur or not may not occur. Sometime this assumption is true, sometime assumption is false. For example, that means, for example, you are going to implement a project at the client side, and you are assuming that the internet connection would be available there. So this is your assumption. Okay, you are assuming that the assumption would that the internet connection would be available at client side, but sometime it happens that it will not it will not available. So try to analyze, try to identify the risk associated to try to associate it to the assumptions as well. This is also very true, that many times it happens that we assume so many things and these assumptions are not true. So project manager should ask stakeholder, what assumptions do you have concerning this project, and try to identify the risk associated with those assumptions as well. So this is called as assumption analysis with respect to the techniques for risk identification. Then cause and effect diagram. That means causes and effect diagrams are powerful. Project manager can use this simple method to help identify cause and effect that give rise to risk. That means, friend, cause and effect means what are the causes and what are the effect. Like if that is the cause, that what will be the effect. So basically, normally it is called as fishbone diagram as well. In that, basically you identify the cause with respect to effect, like what is the cause and what will be the effect. So this technique of fishbone diagram is also used for the risk identification. Then the nominal group technique or NGT. Many project managers are not familiar with the NGT technique. It is brainstorming on steroids. Input is collected and prioritized. The output of NGT is prioritized list of risk. So that means you get the input from many stakeholders and try to prioritize it, because based on that the feedback from the stakeholder, you can prioritize the list, that how much it is important to consider. Then affinity diagram. Affinity diagram means this technique is a fun, creative and beneficial exercise. Participants are asked to brainstorm risk. Ask participants to write each risk on a sticky note. Then participants sort the risk into groups or categories. Lastly, each group is given a title and you have the risk with respect to the categories. That is called as the affinity diagram. So friend, thank you, thanks a lot for watching the video. I hope you like this video. If you like, please share it with your friends and colleagues, and thanks for watching the video. Thank you.